Have you ever noticed how we talk about our success? We often treat it like a mountain we climbed all by ourselves. We talk about the hard work and the long nights. We talk about the sweat and the tears. But if we stop and look back at the path we traveled, we might see something different. We might see the hands that reached out to help us over the steep parts. We might see the voices that whispered encouragement when we wanted to turn back. There is a deep and quiet truth that we often overlook in our stories. No one really succeeds alone. We live in a world that loves the idea of the self-made person. We celebrate the hero who beats the odds. But behind every hero there is a community of people who made that victory possible. When we only focus on the struggle, we miss half of the story. We forget to mention the people who removed the barriers. We forget to mention the people who saw something in us that we did not see in ourselves. Imagine standing in front of a machine that is so complex it feels like magic. For some it might be a computer or a surgical tool. For others it might be a helicopter. When you look at the controls, you see a maze of buttons and levers. You are told that to master this you need a special kind of coordination. You try and you fail. You try again and you fail again. On the surface it looks like a lack of talent. It looks like you just do not have what it takes. This is the surface concept of failure. We often think that if someone cannot do something, it is because they are not smart enough or strong enough. But there is a hidden assumption beneath this idea. We assume that everyone starts from the same place. We assume that everyone has the same background and the same childhood experiences. Imagine trying to fly a helicopter when you have never even driven a car or ridden a bicycle. Most flight students grew up with these things. They developed their motor skills by playing with bikes or driving tractors on a farm. If you did not have those things, your brain is starting from a different point. The problem is not your ability. The problem is the context. This is where the structural pattern of our systems becomes clear. Most training programs are designed for a specific type of person. They follow a syllabus that works for the majority. But what happens to the person who does not fit that mold? Often they are simply let go. They are told they are not a good fit for the program. This is how we lose some of the brightest minds and the strongest spirits. We lose them because we refuse to look at their unique background. We refuse to see that a different starting point requires a different path. But imagine an instructor who chooses to do something different. Imagine someone who takes the time to ask how you grew up. They do not just see a student who is failing a maneuver. They see a human being with a story. When they understand your context, they can redesign the lesson. They can find a new way to explain the concept. This is not just a nice thing to do. It is a powerful act of transformation. It changes the outcome from failure to success in just a few steps. This new perspective reframes the idea of teaching. It is not about forcing everyone through the same narrow door. It is about building a bridge that meets people where they are. When we do this, we realize that most people actually want to succeed. They just need the right kind of support. This support can take many forms. Sometimes it is information. Many young people grow up without ever seeing someone who looks like them in a high-level job. If you only see people on television who are different from you, it is hard to imagine yourself in their place. This is why role models are so important. But role models are not just for the students. They are for the community. When a community sees a woman flying an airplane, it changes their idea of what is possible. It breaks the old rules about what women should do. Another form of support is building skills before the high-stakes training begins. Imagine letting a student work on a real engine. Or fly in a simulator before they ever get into a real cockpit. It builds a foundation of confidence. It removes the mystery and the fear. Then there is the very real barrier of money. Many dreams are cut short because they are simply too expensive. A pilot license can cost as much as a house. This is a wall that talent alone cannot climb. Scholarships are not just financial aid. They are an investment in a future that would otherwise be lost. But even with skills and money, the journey is not over. We need networks. We need people who will advocate for us and connect us with jobs. We need a continuous chain of support that stays with us until we reach the very top. This is how we move from a single success story to a movement. We can apply this thinking to our own lives every day. Think about your own workplace or your own school. Is there someone who is struggling because they are coming from a different background? Could you be the one who takes the time to understand their context? Could you be the person who suggests a different way of doing things? We often dwell on the negatives. We talk about the people who held us back or the systems that were unfair. And those things are real. But if we look closely, we will find that many more people were actually rooting for us. There was the parent who believed in us. There was the colleague who gave us a tip. There was the stranger who offered a word of kindness. When we start telling these stories, we change the way we see the world. We stop seeing obstacles and start seeing partners. We realize that we have a responsibility to pass on the help we received. Success is not a destination. It is a cycle. When you reach the top, your job is to reach back down and pull the next person up. You make it normal to do for others what was done for you. This is the most rewarding part of any career. It is the feeling that you are not just building a life for yourself, but you are opening a door for thousands of others. We have the power to interact with hundreds of thousands of young people and show them a new horizon. Even if only a few hundred become pilots or engineers, that is a huge shift in the world. It is a slow process, but it is a deep one. It requires us to move beyond the syllabus and into the heart of the human experience. It requires us to see people not as problems to be solved, but as potential to be unlocked. As we look at the challenges of the future, we need every bit of talent we can find. We cannot afford to leave anyone behind just because they started at a different point on the map. We need to be the instructors and the mentors and the advocates who look at context and offer a hand. We need to be the ones who say you can do this and then show them how. When we do this, we are not just changing one life. We are changing the history of an entire industry. We are making sure that the next generation does not have to fight the same battles we fought. We are giving them the wings they need to fly higher than we ever could. This is how we build a world that is truly successful. It is a world where every success is a shared victory and every story is a story of community. As you reflect on your own journey today, can you identify one person who removed a barrier for you, and how will you do the same for someone else?